Hello friends. What happens when the curious soul of a Gemini man collides with the inventive spirit of an Aquarius woman? Sparks, not the fleeting kind, but the ones that ignite entire galaxies of conversation, laughter, and shared adventures. This is not your ordinary romance, it's a union of two air signs who thrive on ideas, imagination, and the thrill of possibilities. Let's take a deeper dive into the layers of this fascinating connection and discover why their compatibility feels like something written in the stars. Chemistry. Initial attraction. Imagine stepping into a buzzing art gallery on a Friday night, the kind of place where conversations spill like champagne and every corner hums with energy. The Gemini man is there, moving easily from group to group, his words sharp and quick, his smile lighting up faces like a match strike. He doesn't even realize how magnetic he is, his curiosity about others makes him instantly likable. Across the room, the Aquarius woman arrives, not seeking attention yet commanding it effortlessly. She carries an aura of originality. Maybe it's the unusual cut of her jacket, the way her hair falls rebelliously, or simply the sense that she isn't there to fit in but to bring her own spark of invention to the scene. When their eyes lock, it doesn't feel like a cheesy movie moment. It's sharper, subtler, more electric. There's a flicker of recognition, like two frequencies aligning. The Gemini man's restless energy senses hers instantly. This one is different. This one won't bore me. And the Aquarius woman, so often the observer in the crowd, sees something she rarely finds: a mind that promises speed, agility, and play. Without a word spoken, attraction has already formed. For the Gemini man, her independence is intoxicating. He loves women who are not afraid to stand alone, who don't need approval from anyone, and she radiates that quality in abundance. She isn't chasing him, and that makes him chase harder. Her unconventional choices in dress, her sharp yet whimsical humor, her ability to stand slightly apart from the crowd all ignite his curiosity. He thrives on novelty, and she feels like a new book he can't wait to read, chapter after unpredictable chapter. For the Aquarius woman, the initial pull is his wit. She has met charming men before, but what sets the Gemini man apart is his ability to take even a mundane observation and twist it into something clever. A remark about the hors d'oeuvres turns into a philosophical musing about culture, sprinkled with jokes sharp enough to draw laughter from her guarded lips. She isn't easily impressed, but here's someone who doesn't just entertain, he stimulates. His intelligence isn't heavy or pompous, it dances, and she loves to dance intellectually. Their connection doesn't start with shy glances or fumbling gestures. It starts with conversation, fast, fluid, alive. Within minutes they're tossing ideas back and forth like a game of ping pong. Travel, music, politics, the quirks of human nature. This isn't small talk, this is mind talk, the kind that stretches the brain and makes time dissolve. Other people fade into background noise because they've built their own world in the middle of the crowd. And the beauty of this early chemistry lies in authenticity. Neither feels the need to play a role. The Gemini man doesn't suppress his duality, his shifting moods, or his habit of jumping from subject to subject. Instead of confusing her, it excites her. She doesn't label him as inconsistent. She sees him as multifaceted, like a prism throwing light in many directions. And he, in turn, adores the way she embraces her quirks instead of hiding them. So many people misinterpret her aloofness as coldness, but he gets it instantly. She isn't distant, she's thoughtful, always watching, always calculating. What seals their initial attraction is the recognition that they don't have to slow down for each other. They're both fast thinkers, both lovers of the unusual. Where others might stumble trying to catch up with his restless mind, she matches him step for step, sometimes even leading. Where others might find her odd or too eccentric, he finds her refreshing. It's like discovering a secret twin, only not a mirror, but a complement. This first spark between them is not purely physical, though the physical is there. His lively eyes, her graceful independence, the spark of two auras touching. But what makes it magnetic is intellectual electricity. Their chemistry is like two constellations colliding, not in chaos but in creation, forming something entirely new. Picture them leaving that art gallery together, still mid-conversation, both laughing at some ridiculous analogy about life. For him, it's the thrill of finding someone who can keep up. For her, it's the joy of meeting someone who makes her feel both challenged and understood. Neither has to dilute themselves. They've found a rare equation where independence doesn't divide, it multiplies. And so, in that crowded room, beneath the buzz of chatter and clinking glasses, something rare is born. A Gemini man and an Aquarius woman don't fall into attraction like a tumble, they launch into it like flight. It's effortless, exhilarating, and impossible to ignore. Emotional dynamics. Now here's where things get genuinely intriguing. The emotional dance between a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman. Unlike many traditional couples who dive into oceans of feelings, these two approach love with wings, not anchors. Neither Gemini nor Aquarius is known for drowning in emotions, and that's not a flaw, it's their signature. Where some couples tie themselves down with intensity, these two rise above, finding connection in the skies of intellect, humor, and mutual respect. Their relationship feels like fresh air. It breathes. It gives space. It trusts that love doesn't need to be suffocating in order to be real. The Gemini man is famous for valuing freedom. He doesn't want chains, he wants doors that open. He thrives when he knows he can move, explore, test, and return to a partner who welcomes him without interrogation. And what's fascinating is that the Aquarius woman doesn't just tolerate this, she demands the same. Her independence isn't a phase, it's her foundation. She resists being defined by anyone, and she would never respect a man who tries to clip her wings. So in this unusual pairing, the question of space isn't a problem, it's the very fabric of their emotional bond. They are partners not because they hold each other tightly, but because they let each other go freely and joyfully, knowing they'll always come back stronger. This lack of pressure is rare in love stories. Many couples operate under the unspoken weight of expectation. Text me constantly, prove you love me, sacrifice for me. The Gemini man and Aquarius woman find such demands stifling. Instead, they thrive when love feels like companionship. They don't see romance as a battlefield of constant reassurances. They see it as a shared journey of minds and souls. Love here is not ownership. Love is not control. Love is the ability to stand side by side and look outward toward the horizon, both individuals, both explorers, both allies. And yet, this doesn't mean they lack passion. Far from it, their passion simply has a different voice. It doesn't shout, it sparkles. It comes through late-night brainstorming sessions, where they toss wild ideas back and forth until the sun peeks over the skyline. It comes in shared laughter so raw that tears stream down their cheeks, binding them tighter than any solemn promise. It comes in the small acts of encouragement, like the Gemini man telling her, "Go chase that idea. It's brilliant," or the Aquarius woman gently nudging him to pursue his curiosity without fear of failure. Their emotional intimacy thrives in these everyday moments of support, humor, and collaboration. Still, challenges inevitably surface. Emotions may not define them, but they are human, after all. If one of them craves deeper reassurance, say, the Gemini man in one of his more uncertain moods, he might find the Aquarius woman's cool composure difficult to read. She can appear aloof when she's lost in her visionary world, when her eyes are fixed on futures yet to be built. To him, it may feel like distance. To her, it's just focus. Likewise, when his moods shift suddenly, when he's affectionate one day and detached the next, she may find herself frustrated, unsure which version of him she'll face. These are not deal breakers, but they are the emotional puzzles they must solve together. The key lies in remembering their emotional language. Unlike couples who express love through grand, tearful declarations, their affection is rooted in freedom and understanding. When they realign to this truth, harmony is restored. She doesn't need to dramatize her feelings to prove their depth. He doesn't need to pin her down to feel secure. Instead, they find reassurance in knowing that their bond doesn't demand heavy maintenance. It flows naturally, like air moving through an open room. Consider a moment where conflict has left tension in the air. Maybe he's restless, feeling like she's too distant. Maybe she's annoyed by his inconsistency. Instead of an explosive fight, their resolution looks different. He cracks a clever joke to break the ice, she smirks despite herself, and suddenly they're talking, not arguing, but analyzing, sharing, dissecting their feelings through words and wit. They intellectualize their emotions, which to some might seem detached, but to them it's the safest, most natural path back to harmony. Their emotional dynamics also shine when life throws challenges their way. Imagine a crisis, a career setback, a family issue, or even just the emotional burnout that modern life can cause. A Gemini man might initially scatter, throwing himself into distractions, unsure how to process the weight. The Aquarius woman, with her calm, visionary outlook, becomes his anchor, not through suffocating sympathy, but through perspective. She'll remind him that setbacks are simply part of a bigger picture, and her steadiness helps him focus. Conversely, when she becomes consumed by her ideals, lost in frustration with a world that moves too slowly for her grand visions, he steps in with humor and lightness, pulling her back to the present. He reminds her to laugh, to breathe, to live now as well as later. And let's not forget their friendship, the emotional backbone of their love. Even when romance takes a quieter form, their friendship keeps them glued. They talk like best friends, confide like partners, and tease like siblings. It's this multi-layered connection that gives their relationship resilience. They don't just love each other, they like each other. And that makes all the difference. Ultimately, the emotional dynamics between a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman aren't about fiery passion or dramatic highs and lows. They're about balance. They're about the comfort of knowing you don't have to prove your love every second, because it's woven into the freedom you grant each other. They're about laughter being just as intimate as tears, and conversations being just as binding as embraces. For them, love is not a cage, it's an open sky, and their emotions are the winds that help them soar, sometimes turbulent, sometimes calm, but always moving, always carrying them forward together. Long-term compatibility. So, can a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman last the test of time? The short answer, yes, but the long answer is much more interesting, because it reveals why their connection often defies expectations and how they manage to build something lasting in a world where so many relationships crumble under the weight of monotony. For these two air signs, longevity doesn't come from stability in the traditional sense. It comes from motion, from curiosity, from the shared understanding that their love is not a still pond but a river, always moving, always flowing, sometimes calm, sometimes wild, but always alive. Both the Gemini man and the Aquarius woman crave excitement. They are not content with routines that drain the spirit or days that feel like carbon copies of the last. Monotony is their true enemy. Where some couples find comfort in predictability, these two find suffocation. Their long-term survival depends on embracing change as not just inevitable, but desirable. They thrive when they're trying new projects, booking spontaneous trips, or diving into ideas that others might dismiss as impractical. Their life together is rarely boring, because they actively fight boredom by constantly reinventing themselves. The Gemini man plays a crucial role in this dynamic. His natural lightness, his humor, his ability to keep life playful ensures that boredom never settles into their home. He is the breeze that opens windows and clears out stagnant air. He brings spark and mischief, reminding her that life isn't meant to be taken too seriously. Even in the darkest times, he has a way of cracking a joke, of adding levity that saves them from spiraling into despair. His presence is like a reminder that love can still laugh, even after decades. On the other hand, the Aquarius woman contributes something equally vital: direction. While Gemini may scatter energy in multiple directions, chasing curiosity like a butterfly, Aquarius steadies the whirlwind with vision. She doesn't just dream, she strategizes. She looks toward the future with clarity and helps channel their collective energy into meaningful projects. She is the architect who takes his playful sparks and shapes them into a fire that can warm them for years. This balance keeps their relationship from being a whirlwind that burns out quickly. Instead, it becomes a sustained adventure with purpose. Together, they are not just partners, they are co-creators of a shared dream. And that dream is rarely small. They don't imagine a life confined to routine suburban schedules unless they've redefined that life into something uniquely theirs. They might build businesses together, travel extensively, or dedicate themselves to social causes that matter to them. Whatever the form, they are united by the sense that their love is a platform for creation, not just comfort. What truly makes their long-term bond remarkable, however, is their friendship. It is not a cliché to say that these two will remain best friends through the years. It is their core truth. Even when the flames of early romance settle into embers, their connection thrives on shared laughter, on inside jokes that no one else understands, on late-night conversations that stretch into dawn. They are the kind of couple who, after decades, still sit on the porch talking about wild ideas as if they were 20 years younger. They don't just love each other, they genuinely enjoy each other. Unlike many couples who slowly fade into routine, the Gemini man and Aquarius woman reinvent their love again and again. They are masters of reinvention, not because they force it, but because their nature demands it. When life becomes too predictable, one of them will spark a new adventure, a trip, a new project, a daring idea. This prevents their bond from ever feeling stagnant. Where other couples might say, "We've seen it all," Gemini and Aquarius say, "What's next?" It's worth noting that this adaptability is what shields them from many of the pitfalls of long-term relationships. They don't see change as a threat, they see it as oxygen. Moving to a new city, switching careers, raising children, or even entering retirement, these are not crises, but new stages of their shared story. Their resilience lies in their ability to bend without breaking, to evolve without losing sight of one another. Of course, their journey is not without its challenges. His inconsistency can sometimes clash with her stubborn ideals. He may leap from one interest to another, while she digs her heels into a vision she refuses to abandon. But here lies the brilliance of their compatibility. They don't let these differences define them. Instead, they challenge each other, spar with words, debate fiercely, and often come out stronger for it. For them, friction is not the end of intimacy, it is a spark that keeps the fire alive. Over the long term, their love matures into something deeply inspiring. They are not the couple who grows dull with time, nor the pair who settles for quiet resignation. They remain curious, dynamic, and alive. Their emotional intimacy grows deeper not because they force it, but because their shared adventures naturally weave them closer together. They remain partners, allies, co-conspirators in the great experiment of life. Ultimately, the long-term compatibility of a Gemini man and Aquarius woman is not about perfect harmony every day. It's about embracing the rhythm of their unique song. They thrive not in stillness but in movement, not in control but in freedom, not in predictability but in possibility. When others ask how they've lasted so long, the answer isn't, "Because we never changed." The answer is, "Because we kept changing, and we changed together." In the end, their love story is less about stability in the traditional sense and more about constancy in spirit. They may live 100 different lives within one relationship, but through every shift, every reinvention, every new dream, one truth remains. They are best friends who choose each other, again and again, not because they have to, but because they want to. And that, more than anything else, is what makes them last. Communication conflict resolution. Communication, the lifeblood of both Gemini and Aquarius. Words are their currency, and they spend them as freely as others breathe. If you were to sit quietly in the corner of a cafe where these two are deep in discussion, you'd quickly realize something extraordinary: the sheer range of their dialogue. One moment they're unraveling the complexities of politics, the next they're dissecting a philosophical paradox, and within minutes, they're laughing uncontrollably over a silly meme one of them just remembered. Their exchanges never stagnate because both possess a restless, endlessly curious mind. For them, communication isn't just a tool to convey ideas, it is the very glue that binds them together. From the very beginning, their conversations feel less like small talk and more like lifelines into one another's worlds. The Gemini man, with his mercurial wit, loves to jump from one topic to another, sprinkling in humor, clever turns of phrase, and fresh perspectives. The Aquarius woman, with her steady intellectual gravity, takes these scattered gems and weaves them into something larger, something visionary. Together, their dialogue becomes a dance, his quick steps matched by her bold, sweeping movements. The result? A conversation that is both exhilarating and nourishing, lighthearted yet profound. But what truly sets them apart is their refusal to run out of things to say. While some couples face stretches of silence or run dry after years together, Gemini and Aquarius thrive on the infinite well of ideas. Every day offers a new headline, a new theory, a new observation to dissect and laugh about. Even silence between them feels comfortable, not because there are no words left, but because words are always waiting to return. Of course, as with all great communicators, conflict is inevitable. But here's where their relationship defies expectations. They rarely, if ever, fight over possessiveness or jealousy. It simply isn't their style. Both value freedom far too much to waste energy on chains. Their disagreements instead arise from something subtler yet equally powerful: the way they process ideas. The Gemini man is Quicksilver. He can hold one opinion at noon, question it by evening, and replace it with another by midnight. This fluidity delights him, but it can frustrate the Aquarius woman, who approaches her ideals with fierce loyalty. She is stubborn not for the sake of stubbornness, but because she believes deeply in her convictions. Where Gemini is flexible, she is firm. Where he leaps, she stands her ground. And when these tendencies clash, sparks fly, not of emotional war, but of intellectual friction. Picture a typical disagreement. Perhaps they're discussing social change. He, ever the devil's advocate, is bouncing between perspectives, exploring every angle just to see where it might lead. She, on the other hand, holds tight to her carefully considered beliefs, unwilling to budge without good reason. What might escalate into an argument with another partner becomes, for them, an extended debate. Voices may rise, ideas may clash, but the undercurrent of respect never falters. They are sparring partners of the mind, sharpening each other rather than wounding. And here lies their secret weapon: humor and perspective. The Gemini man has an almost magical ability to diffuse tension with a clever joke. Even at the height of conflict, he finds the punchline that dissolves anger into laughter. The Aquarius woman, meanwhile, has a gift for stepping back, zooming out, and reminding them both of the bigger picture. She refuses to get lost in petty squabbles because her mind is always oriented toward the horizon. Together, these qualities ensure that their conflicts rarely spiral into lasting damage. Even when they disagree passionately, grudges don't linger. They respect each other's minds too much to reduce one another to enemies. Once the debate has run its course, they often end up admiring the passion with which the other defended their point. In fact, many of their conflicts leave them closer, because in the act of sparring, they rediscover the very thing that drew them together: intellectual fire. Over the long term, their communication style proves to be one of their greatest assets. It protects them from the silent resentments that quietly poison many relationships. Instead of bottling up frustrations, they air them out, dissect them, and often laugh about them by the end. Conflict doesn't corrode their connection, it polishes it. In moments of stress or external challenges, this open communication becomes their lifeline. Imagine financial strain, career setbacks, or family issues pressing down on them. Instead of retreating into silence or hostility, they turn toward each other with words. He lifts her spirits with playful banter, reminding her that problems are never as permanent as they feel. She grounds him with clarity, reminding him that chaos can be shaped into progress. Their conversations become both therapy and strategy session, ensuring they navigate difficulties as a team. Ultimately, communication between a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman is not merely about solving problems or passing the time, it is the very heartbeat of their bond. And when conflict arises, it doesn't weaken them, it strengthens them, teaching them once again that love doesn't require uniformity of thought, only mutual respect and the ability to meet in the middle, smiling. Their words carry them, lift them, and heal them. For this pair, communication isn't just resolution, it's love in action. Physical intimate connection. Let's talk chemistry on a deeper level. the kind of connection that moves beyond quick attraction and into the realm where touch, imagination, and vulnerability intertwine. For a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman, physical intimacy is not defined by fiery, all-consuming passion in the way it often is for earth or water signs. Instead, it is something more nuanced, more playful, more inventive. It is not about surrendering themselves to raw instinct, but about creating something unique together, a fusion of mind and body where curiosity meets originality. The Gemini man approaches intimacy with the same energy he brings to every part of life, curiosity. He is not afraid to explore, to test boundaries, to turn even the simplest moment into something fresh. He thrives on variety and finds satisfaction in discovery, which means he rarely falls into routine. For him, physical intimacy is not simply about repeating a familiar script, it's about improvising a new story each time. He is energized by the thrill of what he has not yet tried, and when he is with an Aquarius woman, he finds a partner who not only accepts this curiosity but matches it. The Aquarius woman adds her own layer of originality. She doesn't see intimacy as a performance or a duty but as a canvas for her imagination. She is inventive, unafraid to experiment, and unwilling to be confined by traditional expectations. If the Gemini man is curious about what if, she is the one who says, "Let's find out." Together, they transform intimacy into an adventure, one where laughter, surprise, and innovation are as important as physical desire. What makes their physical bond especially powerful is that neither of them views intimacy as purely physical. For them, it is mental just as much as it is sensual. They connect through eye contact that lingers like an unspoken conversation, through whispered ideas that ignite the imagination, through the electricity of anticipation as much as the act itself. Their intimacy is not just about touching bodies, it's about touching minds, about creating a shared rhythm that is as playful as it is passionate. For many couples, routine eventually settles in, and the spark begins to fade. But for Gemini and Aquarius, routine is the one thing they naturally resist. They thrive on freshness. Whether it's trying new experiences, changing settings, or simply approaching one another with curiosity even after years together, they ensure that their connection never feels stale. To them, intimacy is not an obligation to be checked off, it's a journey they eagerly embark on, again and again. Consider how this plays out after years of being together. Where other couples might struggle to reignite desire, Gemini and Aquarius continue to surprise each other. One night may be filled with laughter and teasing, the next with deep, imaginative experimentation. They never lose sight of the fact that intimacy is supposed to be enjoyable, not a chore. Their playful spirit keeps the spark alive, turning even small moments, a kiss in the kitchen, a touch while passing in the hallway, into sparks of connection. Another key to their intimacy is freedom. Neither feels pressured to conform to rigid expectations. The Gemini man appreciates that the Aquarius woman doesn't demand constant displays of devotion or scripted romance. Instead, she values authenticity. Likewise, she finds comfort in his openness and adaptability. They grant each other space even in closeness, which paradoxically deepens their connection. When there is no sense of obligation, every touch feels chosen, every embrace feels alive. This freedom also protects their physical relationship from stagnation. They do not fear experimentation because they are not weighed down by the idea of what intimacy should be. Instead, they focus on what it can be. This approach creates an intimacy that is constantly evolving, keeping it fresh even as their relationship matures. Their connection is also strengthened by the fact that both bring their natural creativity into the physical realm. Gemini's quick mind and playful spirit combine beautifully with Aquarius's imaginative vision. Where Gemini might suggest something lighthearted and fun, Aquarius expands it into something meaningful and surprising. Where Aquarius offers originality, Gemini adds spontaneity. Together, they create experiences that feel less like repetition and more like a series of new adventures. Ultimately, their physical and intimate bond is a reflection of their broader relationship, dynamic, inventive, and built on freedom. It is not about fiery passion that burns out quickly, but about steady sparks that continue to ignite over time. They make intimacy not just about pleasure but about discovery, turning each encounter into an exploration of one another's minds, bodies, and souls. And this is why, even years into their love story, the Gemini man and Aquarius woman still find themselves drawn to each other with the same excitement they felt at the beginning. Their intimacy doesn't fade, it evolves. For them, physical connection isn't just something they do, it's something they create together, over and over, with the same joy, laughter, and curiosity that brought them together in the first place. Shared values, life goals. At the core of their relationship are values that align almost seamlessly, as if they were written in the same cosmic ink: freedom, individuality, and growth. These aren't just lofty words to them, they are guiding principles that shape every decision, every dream, every step forward. Both the Gemini man and the Aquarius woman despise being tied down by rigid traditions or outdated rules. They are restless souls who thrive on progress, whether it's progress in their personal development, in their careers, or in the world at large. For them, stagnation is the real enemy, while forward motion, any forward motion, is the essence of life and love. The Gemini man is a dreamer of many directions. His curiosity never lets him sit still for long, and his mind is always asking, what's next? One day, it might be a new business idea, the next, a plan to learn a new language, and the day after, perhaps a wild desire to backpack through countries he's only read about. He does not see life as a straight line but as an endless series of branching paths, each worth exploring. While others may find his scattered curiosity overwhelming, the Aquarius woman sees it for what it is: the beautiful chaos of a man who refuses to stop growing. The Aquarius woman, by contrast, dreams not just for herself but for humanity. Her vision is broad, often revolutionary. She is the archetype of the forward thinker, the one who wants to break barriers and redesign systems, whether social, environmental, or cultural. Her gaze is not only on what tomorrow will bring for her personally, but also on what the world could look like if people dared to be braver, kinder, more inventive. She carries ideals that might intimidate others, but to the Gemini man, they are intoxicating. Her sense of purpose grounds his scattered curiosities into meaningful directions, while his spontaneity keeps her from getting too caught up in the weight of her ideals. When these visions merge, something remarkable happens. They don't just form a couple, they form a dynamic duo. Together, they inspire each other endlessly. He sparks ideas she might not have considered, she stretches his vision beyond his immediate curiosities. Where he says, "Why not try this?" she says, "Why not change everything?" Their combined energy has the power to not only enrich their own lives but also to create ripples that touch the lives of others. As life partners, they will constantly push boundaries. The Gemini man nudges her to step outside the seriousness of her visionary mind and embrace spontaneity, reminding her that play is just as essential as progress. The Aquarius woman, in turn, challenges him to dig deeper, to commit to ideas long enough to bring them to fruition, instead of leaving them scattered across the floor of his imagination. This exchange, his lightness balancing her gravity, her vision grounding his curiosity, ensures that they don't just dream, they act. Their shared goals often include traveling the world, building something creative, or advocating for social change. These are not small ambitions but expansive ones, because both believe in living life on a larger canvas. They might set out to write together, to start a foundation, to campaign for causes close to their hearts, or simply to collect experiences from every corner of the globe. What's striking is that unlike many couples who focus primarily inward, building their love like a fortress around themselves, Gemini and Aquarius often direct their love outward. They use their bond as a platform for growth and impact, making their relationship not just about two people but about the way two people can leave their mark on the world. Even in the daily rhythm of life, their shared values show. They resist routines that feel restrictive, preferring flexibility in how they live, work, and even love. They encourage each other to be individuals first, believing that true partnership is only possible when both are fully themselves. If he wants to dive into a new passion project, she will cheer him on. If she needs space to dedicate herself to a cause, he will understand. Their respect for individuality ensures that their growth is not only parallel but also deeply intertwined. Over the long term, these values keep their love resilient. They don't fear change, they welcome it. They don't resist evolution, they embody it. Whether they are navigating career transitions, parenthood, or the quiet of later years, their ability to align on freedom, individuality, and growth keeps them from ever feeling trapped. Instead of holding each other back, they continually ask, how can we expand together? In the end, the shared values and life goals of a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman make their love story something larger than romance. It is a partnership of vision and movement, of curiosity and conviction. Together, they not only dream of a better future but actively build it, step by step, hand in hand, always moving, always growing, always free. Final thoughts. So, is the love story between a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman truly written in the stars? Absolutely, and not in the sense of some sugary fairy tale or overly dramatized saga, but in the way two people can come together and create a kind of love that feels fresh, liberating, and timeless. This isn't a fiery, volatile romance filled with screaming arguments and tearful reconciliations. Instead, what binds them is quieter yet infinitely stronger. A partnership built on intellectual chemistry, mutual respect, freedom, and an unshakable foundation of friendship. When you look closely, their story is not about clinging or binding but about soaring side by side. The Gemini man, with his restless curiosity, is an explorer of ideas, places, and possibilities. The Aquarius woman, with her visionary spirit, is an innovator who sees the world not just as it is but as it could be. Put them together, and you don't just have a couple, you have co-adventurers, two dreamers navigating the skies of life, inspiring one another with every step. What makes their bond thrive isn't a desperate need to hold on tightly or to demand constant reassurance. Instead, it is the opposite. The ability to give space, to allow room for individuality, and to trust that love does not diminish in freedom but expands because of it. Their relationship feels like a wide open sky, endless and infinite, where both are free to spread their wings. And yet, they always circle back to each other, drawn by the gravitational pull of respect, laughter, and shared vision. The Gemini man and Aquarius woman remind us that love doesn't need to be a cage to be real. Too often, relationships are framed as ownership. You are mine, and I am yours. But in this pairing, love is not about possession, it is about choice. Every day, they choose each other not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. They are proof that love can be lasting without being heavy, that it can be light and liberating without losing depth. Over the years, their connection only deepens because it is allowed to evolve. They reinvent themselves, individually and as a couple, refusing to let routine dull the spark. They laugh together, build together, dream together, and when challenges arise, they use their wit, their perspective, and their trust in one another to navigate them. Their love is never static, it is always in motion, always growing, always alive. And so, when we ask whether the story of a Gemini man and an Aquarius woman is destined, the answer is yes, but not because fate forced them together. It is destined because they write their destiny hand in hand, carving it out of freedom, curiosity, and imagination. They are not bound to the earth by chains of convention but lifted by the air of their shared values and dreams. For them, love is not a cage. It is not a prison disguised as devotion. It is a sky without limits, vast, open, and full of endless horizons waiting to be discovered. And as long as they keep flying together, there will always be new skies to explore, new adventures to chase, and new reasons to fall in love again and again.